Let's move on to the second main topic of our conversation. In this section, we are going to be looking at written instruction, and just written instruction, as in how you were taught written instruction, how you perceive the written instruction you were taught and such. So this question is a little philosophical in the sense that it's in a perfect world scenario. So what do you think, and remember this is in a perfect world scenario, was valued in a written assignment? In other words, and keep in mind this is in a perfect world, what was the assignment graded on?
In a perfect world?
In a perfect world. Teacher gives you an assignment.
Honestly, though, if it were a perfect world scenario, like the ideal way to grade creativity, I would say like...
Well, we're not talking about creativity just yet. We're talking about what you think a teacher would value in a perfect world when an assignment was turned in.
Right. Well, I'm saying that the way they would grade it in a perfect world or ideal situation for the grader is that the teacher should, obviously, in a perfect world, they should have sort of a view of what the norm is for what the assignment is and the way that the problem or whatever the question is that you're writing about, have an idea of what the norm is, and then seeing how far it strays from that while still keeping the theme intact. And I feel like the further away it strays, then the teacher ideally should grade that as more creative rather than going along those same path to kind of find a different way to look at the solution. And that, like, ideally the teacher should know what the path is and then grade it as the further away. And in reality, the further away you go, the less grade they get.
Yeah, I think a teacher should grade things off of how hard you obviously worked on the assignment, not necessarily what she was looking for in it, because sometimes you can work really hard on an assignment and not give them exactly what they were asking for, but it doesn't make it a bad work. They should just adapt to that, I think, in my opinion, as long as you worked hard on it. Otherwise, people will do what is asked of them, but they'll do a half-assed version of it, and then they get a good grade for it, just because they did what they were asked.
Okay, I'm going to ask the same question, but in reality. The question was, what do you think is valued in a writing assignment in reality now?
Oh, if you follow what the teacher wants to see.
Material.
If you follow the material that you've been learning in class, the material that you've learned in previous classes, it's pretty much whatever you've learned in English up until that point, you're expected to display in that paper.
Do you feel that you were taught in the best possible way to be a writer in the world?
Not really.
Taught by who? By life or by teachers?
Let's first tackle by teachers, and then we'll go into...
I don't think you can be taught how to write well, because there are writers who write like with crazy ideas and sometimes don't even make any sense, but some people find really deep meaning in that, and you can't teach like creativity, what appeals to the rest of society, because even if my English teacher wrote a book, who's to say that it would be successful? Because that's her own opinion, that's her own perspective on life and society. So you can't teach creativity, in my opinion.
Well, the problem is that a lot of people are creative, but they just don't know how to express it. Like, you can be super creative, and then if you just don't know how to express it, then it doesn't even matter in the end. So.
Okay. And the last question in this section would be, most of you know, or probably all of you know, what you want to choose as a career when you get older. Do you feel that your past writing instruction was effective in helping you get to this point and get onto your career?
No, it was the opposite, actually. One of my classes, growing up in English class, we've had to write an MLA format, right? Well, I want to be a psychologist, I'm going to have to write an APA. So I've been taught all my life to write in a certain type of format, and then now I'm suddenly going to have to switch and write in a completely different manner. I don't find it fair. It's like the FCAT and the SATs. They teach you all your life how to take the FCAT, and once you get to the SATs, they tell you now suddenly you cannot answer questions, and you get them omitted instead of getting them wrong. That's why a lot of students end up failing the SATs, is because they don't know how to take the test.
There's no one standardized way of writing. It's because there's MLA, there's APA, but then if you want to go into a television or a film major, then you need to know how to write script, which is a totally different format all on its own, and how to read it, and all the different acronyms and stuff that they have for script writing or script analysis. Just as there is in medicine or any other field that you choose, everything's specific to the field you choose. So you can't accredit in English class or anything you've learned in school up until you get into your major, what it is, for teaching you